Hey, welcome. Today we're going to talk about what might just be the 3 scariest words in the English language. Tell me about yourself. Right? Does that question just make your mind go completely blank? If it does, you're definitely not alone. Whether you're in a job interview, at a party, or maybe it's the first day of class, it always feels like you're being asked to somehow summarize your entire life in like 30 seconds. The pressure is absolutely real. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be so scary. Believe it or not, answering this question can actually be an easy and, even a fun way to connect with someone. So today, we're going to break it all down into simple, manageable pieces. We'll turn that tangled mess of thoughts into something that sounds clear and confident. So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the absolute essentials, the basic building blocks. Then we're going to layer on some personal details and, of course, talk about likes and dislikes. And finally, we'll put it all together so you can see how it works. Okay, first up, the essentials. I want you to think of these as the foundation. You know, the absolute must-haves for any introduction you give. So here they are, just 4 simple things. Your name, where you're from and where you live now, your age, and what you do. These are the simple, factual ingredients we're going to start with. Let's look at a couple of examples to see what this looks like in action. So let's meet Paul and Emily, and I want you to notice just how simple this is. My name is Paul. I am from Canada. That's it. It's direct, it's clear, and it's the perfect start. You really don't need to overcomplicate these basics. Now, from there, you can add just a little more flavor by talking about where you live. So, Paul is in a small town, in a house. Meanwhile, Emily is in a big city, in an apartment. See? That one little detail already starts to paint a picture for us. And here are the final 2 building blocks, your age and your occupation. Paul's a 28-year-old teacher. Emily's a 25-year-old art student. The sentence structure is still super simple. And honestly, that's all you need for a really solid foundation. Okay, so with the basics totally covered, let's start adding a little bit of color. This next part is all about sharing those small, personal details that show a bit more about who you are. We'll start with 2 easy ones. Family and pets. You know, sharing just a tiny bit about your family can be a fantastic way to connect. Paul's family has this cool blend of creativity and medicine. Emily's family is all about education and the culinary arts. Instantly, these little details just make them feel more relatable, don't they? And hey, who doesn't love talking about pets? This is such a great way to let your personality show. We can see Paul is totally a dog person. He's got a friendly, funny dog named Max. Emily, on the other hand, she's a cat person with a sleepy little cat named Luna. This right here is a perfect example of the power of a small detail. I mean, just saying I have a cat is totally fine. But describing Luna as very quiet and very sleepy, well, that creates such a clear mental image. It makes the whole introduction so much more memorable. All right, now let's talk about preferences. This is where your personality really starts to shine through. Sharing what you love, and maybe what you don't, is one of the fastest ways to show who you are and find some common ground. Just take a look at this. This lays out a great range of favorites that you can share. And notice the variety here. Paul loves pizza, the color blue, and soccer. Emily loves pasta, the color green, and painting. You know, sharing a hobby or a favorite food is basically an open invitation for the other person to ask a follow-up question. So, sharing what you enjoy is great, but don't forget the other side of the coin. Sometimes saying something you have a mild dislike for can be just as humanizing and interesting. I mean, look at these examples. Paul doesn't like olives, and Emily isn't a fan of waking up early. These aren't some deep, controversial opinions, right? They're just simple, relatable things that add another little layer of personality to their introductions. So we've gathered all our pieces, the basic blocks, the personal details, the preferences. Now for the fun part. Let's see how to combine them into a short, friendly, and really effective introduction. Let's look at Paul's final intro. In just a few sentences, he covers his job, a couple things he likes, and one thing he doesn't. It's concise, it's informative, and it gives you a real sense of who he is. It's great. And Emily's version is just as effective. It's super friendly, it covers what she does, what she loves, and she adds that relatable dislike about waking up early. This is a perfect conversation starter. Okay, and this brings us to what might be the most crucial takeaway of all. A good introduction is not your entire life story. The goal here is quality over quantity. You just need to choose a few key details to share, not everything all at once. This shows that context is everything. You have to read the room. In a classroom, saying you like to learn new things is a fantastic fit. But at a party, sharing your hobbies like painting and music is probably a better way to connect. The key is just to adapt your intro to the situation you're in. So I think the best way to think about this question is to just reframe it completely. It's not a test. It's not a demand. It's simply an invitation. It's an open door to a new conversation. So now it's your turn. Using these building blocks we talked about, what are the 2 or 3 things you would choose to share? What's your perfect, simple introduction? Take a moment to practice it, and I promise the next time someone asks, you'll be ready. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.